He thought distance could bury a command, but the storm found him anyway. A ship full of strangers is about to pay for one man's refusal, and his next choice could cost every life on board. So why does the guilty man tell them to throw him into the sea? The story begins with a voice Jonah recognizes instantly. The word of the Lord comes with a clear direction: get up, go, speak. Not to a friendly town, not to familiar faces, but to a distant city known only for its evil rising like smoke. And Jonah feels the weight of it, then turns away anyway, and that turn sets everything in motion. He doesn't argue out loud. He doesn't negotiate. He moves, fast, deliberate, like a man trying to outrun his own conscience. The text keeps repeating one quiet word: down. Down toward the coast, down into the noise of a port city, down into the place where ships can carry you farther than your courage can follow. And the descent has only started. Jonah finds a ship headed for the far horizon, Tarshish, the opposite direction of obedience. He pays the fare with steady hands that don't match the unrest in his face. Then he goes down into the vessel, as if the belly of a ship could hide him from the one who made the sea. But the sea is not neutral ground, and it's about to answer. Out on open water, the Lord doesn't whisper, he hurls. A great wind slams the sea, and the ship shudders like it's about to crack apart. The crew reacts the way experienced mariners do, hands to ropes, eyes to the sky, fear tightening every movement. And while the storm announces a confrontation, one man is nowhere on deck, because Jonah has gone even farther down. Cargo gets thrown overboard, heavy bundles splashing into darkness, because survival becomes more important than profit. Men cry out, each to his own god, voices swallowed by wind. It's chaos above, but below deck it's claustrophobic and still. Jonah lies in the inner part of the ship, asleep. Not resting, gone, unreachable, like sleep is the last door he can lock against responsibility. But that door is about to be kicked open. The ship captain storms into the hold, face creased, mantle soaked with spray, and finds Jonah sleeping through disaster. He grabs him, shaking him awake, and the rebuke comes sharp: "What do you mean, you sleeper? Arise, call out to your God." It's almost an echo of the first command Jonah refused: get up, speak. And now he's being summoned again, but this time by a man who can't afford Jonah's silence. Above deck, the crew reaches for an ancient last resort: cast lots. Not superstition for entertainment, desperation for clarity. The mariner with the pouch of stones spills them into his palm, hands trembling with salt and fear. They're asking a brutal question: who is the reason this evil has come upon us? And when the stones fall, every eye turns the same direction. The lot points to Jonah, and suddenly the storm isn't just weather, it's accusation. Questions hit him like spray: who are you? What have you done? Where do you come from? Jonah stands there soaked and exposed, the lone calm center of panic. And when he finally speaks, he doesn't start with excuses, he starts with God. But listen closely, because what he says makes his escape look almost absurd. "I am a Hebrew," Jonah says, "and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." The confession is clean theology, spoken on a deck that's being swallowed by the very sea he claims God created. Then Jonah admits the part that freezes the crew: he is fleeing from the presence of the Lord. And the sailors' fear shifts, because now they realize the storm has a sender. They don't laugh at him. They don't shrug it off. They become exceedingly afraid, because if the Lord made sea and land, there is no direction that counts as a way. The questions turn desperate: what is this you have done? And the sea keeps rising, as if it's pressing the point for them. Jonah's running is no longer private, it's public, and everyone is trapped inside its consequences. But Jonah offers a solution that sounds like surrender and punishment at the same time. Jonah doesn't tell them to pray harder. He doesn't promise he'll change. He says, "Pick me up and hurl me into the sea, then the sea will quiet down for you." It's a grim clarity. He knows the storm is on his account. And for a moment, the crew just stares, because he's asking them to do what decent men hesitate to do: take a life to save their own. But here's the twist: these sailors refuse to be quick with blood. Instead of grabbing Jonah, they grab the oars. The mariner rower and the others dig in, muscles straining, wrists wrapped, backs bowed, trying to force the ship toward land. They fight for an option where no one has to die. But the sea grows more and more tempestuous against them, as if mercy by human strength is not on the table. And when their arms fail, they're left with one last decision, made with shaking hands and honest fear. They stop rowing, not because they stop caring, but because they finally understand they're not steering this storm. And then something remarkable happens. These men who began the night crying to their own gods turn and pray directly to the Lord. Not casually, urgently, "O Lord, let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not on us innocent blood." They're asking the judge for mercy before they act. And that prayer changes the meaning of what comes next. They add one more line, quiet, terrifying, and true, "For you, O Lord, have done as it pleased you." That's surrender from men who didn't grow up knowing Jonah's scriptures, yet somehow grasp God's sovereignty faster than the prophet does. Jonah stands there hearing strangers speak reverence back to his own God. And now the deck becomes an altar of choice, either everyone goes down together, or Jonah goes down alone. The next movement is slow, heavy, and irreversible. The sailors lift Jonah, one at his arms, one at his legs, careful and reluctant, like men carrying a weight they never wanted. Jonah doesn't fight. His sandals scrape with planks as they step to the rail. The sea below is black and churning, a mouth that doesn't care about names or titles. And for a heartbeat, everything hangs. Will the storm take them all, or will it accept the one man offered to it? They hurl Jonah into the sea. There's no heroic slow motion, just a body swallowed by waves, a splash, then Jonah vanishing into darkness. And immediately, the raging stops. Not gradually. Not after a while. The sea ceases from its roaring as if a hand pressed flat against its surface. The loudest moment in the chapter is the sudden quiet, and the men on deck are left staring at a calm they didn't earn. In that hush, fear transforms. These sailors were terrified of drowning, but now they're terrified of the Lord, in the truest sense, all that makes your knees weak. They offer sacrifice and make vows, not because Jonah preached a sermon, but because the sea itself testified. The Creator answered on cue, and their worldview rearranged in a single night. But Jonah, God's prophet, is not on deck to see their worship. He's sinking into a place where prayers sound different. Imagine the irony. Jonah fled to sea to escape God, and now the sea becomes the place where God's authority is most undeniable. Down, 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 past light, past breath, past control. The prophet who said he feared the Lord has to face what fear really means when you can't swim your way out of consequence. And if the story ended here, it would be pure judgment. But the text gives one more line, one that changes drowning into something else entirely. The Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. Not a random creature. Not an accident of nature. Appointed, like the storm was hurled on purpose, this rescue is sent on purpose. In the same motion, Jonah is judged and preserved, stopped and kept. And the camera of the story doesn't linger on spectacle, it simply states the fact, as if heaven's control over life and death is ordinary. But what does it feel like to be saved in a way that still feels like a sentence? Jonah is inside the fish 3 days and 3 nights, time measured not by sun, but by waiting. The descent stops, but the confinement begins. There's no horizon to chase, no port to purchase, no deck to hide under. Just the truth you tried to outrun, now wrapped around you in the dark. And that's the unsettling mercy of this chapter. God doesn't merely block Jonah's path, he contains him. The question is why. Is this punishment meant to end him, or to bring him back? If this story is hitting something personal, if you've ever felt that urge to run from what you know you're supposed to do, take a second and subscribe for more Bible episodes like this. And tell me in the comments, what part of Jonah 1 feels most unsettling to you, the sleep, the storm, or the silence after the splash? Because the next chapter starts in the dark, and Jonah finally speaks for real. Before we leave chapter 1, Notice who looks most like a prophet here. Jonah has the right words about God, but he uses them only after he's exposed. The sailors start with fear and confusion, but they end with prayer to the Lord, sacrifice, and vows. The outsiders respond with humility, the insider runs. It's a reversal that should bother us, because it suggests that knowing truth isn't the same as obeying it. And if that reversal is real, it puts a question on all of us. Also notice the pattern the narrator keeps drawing with Jonah's feet, down to the port, down into the ship, down into the inner hold, down into sleep, down into the sea. Disobedience is pictured as descent, step by step, choice by choice, until you're below the place where you can pretend you're fine. Jonah didn't wake up one morning at the bottom of the ocean, he walked there in small decisions. And that's what makes the storm feel less like random anger and more like intervention. The captain's words are another mirror: arise, call out. It's the same shape as God's first command to Jonah: get up, go, speak, only now it's coming from a man who doesn't even share Jonah's covenant history. The world is echoing God back to his prophet. And that should land like a warning: when you refuse a call long enough, you may hear it again, but through crisis, through strangers, through a storm you didn't plan. The question isn't whether God can reach you. It's how loud he'll need to be. And then there's Jonah's strangest line: I fear the Lord. He says it while fleeing from the presence of the Lord, as if fear can be claimed without being lived. But the sea exposes what words can hide. The sailors hear Jonah's theology and instantly understand the danger. If his God made the sea, then the sea is not a hiding place, it's his territory. Jonah's attempt to escape becomes tragic irony, written in waves. And the moment the sea goes still, the irony becomes proof. What's easy to miss is the sailors' restraint. They don't treat Jonah like disposable cargo. They row hard, trying to reach land, refusing to kill him if there's any other way. When they finally lift him, they pray first, asking not to be held guilty. That's moral weight in the middle of terror. And it raises an uncomfortable possibility: the righteous response in this chapter doesn't come from the prophet, it comes from the pagans on the deck. So what is God revealing, not only about Jonah, but about his mercy toward everyone watching? The sea's instant hush is the chapter's loudest sermon. No debate, no argument, no philosophical proof, just cause and effect that points straight upward. The storm came when God hurled it, the storm stopped when Jonah went over. And the sailors respond the only way you can when you realize you're standing inside someone else's power: they worship. Meanwhile Jonah, the man who carried God's word, is carried into darkness. It's as if God is saying, you can run from the mission, but you can't run from me. And then the story seals him inside that truth. That final line, the Lord appointed a great fish, keeps the focus where the whole chapter has kept it, not on Jonah's cleverness, not on nature's chaos, but on God's control. The fish is not chaos, it's containment. It's the strange place where consequence and mercy meet. Jonah is stopped from running farther, and also stopped from drowning. The chapter ends without Jonah's prayer, without resolution, just a man alive in the dark. And that's the open door into what comes next. What do you say when you finally can't go anywhere else? Jonah 1 isn't just about a man who ran, it's about a God whose call follows, whose world responds, and whose mercy can feel like being swallowed whole. If you want to keep going with Jonah's prayer from the darkness in the next episode, subscribe and watch the next chapter. And if you needed this reminder today, comment "I stopped running" below. I read it every single comment.